very complimentary of the town, but they complimented things that I kind of forget about, you know, and so that was kind of nice to hear. But I also wanted to know the bad side too, you know, what was harder to find it, and so it was good, but for the most part, it was really nice to hear that stuff. So hopefully it'll be good, and then I love the idea that there's possibly some funding tied towards it at the end if there were other things that came up.
So when you say customer service training, that's for private businesses rather than like
Everybody, anything could do it. It's kind of nice. I like the idea that they had incentive to it so that as a minimum wage employee, it's not going to pay for me to come at night and do some training, so then there was some incentives tied towards it to get that. There's also some of the other funding that's coming up from Dane Hinson, since I probably haven't talked to you since the forum this year. There's an internship program that they're going to offer. They'll help pay for an intern that can come and work for the community. They really want it to be a community intern, so in some places they're working for the city, in some places they're working for the county, some places they're actually working for the economic development group or the chamber. They can do a little bit of anything. The one in Lincoln that I really liked, they have lost the blueprints to the school that they're trying to sell, so the intern is actually an architecture intern, and they're going to draw up the blueprints and then help market the building itself for different things. But I talked to Jason a little bit about it, but I talked to some of the county and some of our other communities because it's a program they fully pay for the intern, and they're paid through K-State, so they actually have money, and it's a pretty nice wage. So if there's someone that we're looking for, some big project that we're going to look for in the future, it's something to keep in mind. The other thing that Dane Hinson is funding is the Mitchell County cleanup. This is, I brought you some information about it here. If you have any questions, there's a number at the bottom where you can always call me. Dane Hinson is giving us $20,000 to do any sort of countywide cleanup. So what we decided here to do was to just open up the landfill for free landfill fees. First come, first served. We're going to start on May 1st. We picked May 1st because the citywide garage sale is the weekend before. So if you don't sell that stuff, you can take it from the landfill and dump it. And you can get rid of it right now. It's a great program. It's countywide. Some of our communities are doing some specific things, which I love. And then some of them are just doing great things.
So does 20,000 cover the landfill fees? Is that what
that's what we're doing here. Unless there's some other big special project somebody wants to do. There was something kind of specific in Tipton that they wanted to do. Conquer City, actually, the city crew is going to take some loads for people that can't take them to the landfill, which I really like. Tipton's talked about the same thing, because for us, it's pretty easy. It's right here. Tipton is kind of a jaunt, so they're looking at some other ways to help do it. But basically, it's just to clean some stuff up, which I really liked. And then there's some more funding opportunities that will come through the Community Foundation from Dane Hinson. They've pledged to continue the funding sources that they've already done for the next 5 years. So some pretty significant amounts of money that are going to be coming back into the community. So I like that. It's good to have, good to give away. We're doing a Solomon Valley Community Foundation reception tomorrow night with the latest round that we just did, which was another $50,000. So it's added up pretty significantly. Questions about any first impressions? Thanks again to the volunteers that are going to do it. I am kind of out of it since I did the volunteers. I'll just be the contact person, let them know to do it, and then report back, and then I'll help organize a community meeting after we're done.
Thank you, Heather.
What do you need from us for a motion?
I don't even know what it means to be a motion. You just need to sign off on it.
The first impression thing.
Yes.
I mean, as for your form, I should
the
say.
motion to approve the participation
Yeah.
in the program. Probably.
Because there's no money.
So moved.
Awesome.
Councilor Valley, that we approve the first impression application. Have a second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Ponto. Any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Next item is library appointment. Here with the gentleman. Kevin Mickey to the library board. I think this is the gentleman that runs the
He's the
porterhouse.
property manager for our courthouse. Great guy. He's been really involved with stuff and Rotaries. I think he's gonna be a great addition to the library. Very energetic guy.
So moved.
It's moved by Councilman Nolan to appoint Kevin Mickey to the library board by the second by Councilman Grable. Any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. No closed session. Entertain a motion for adjournment So by Councilman Graybone that we adjourn, second by Councilman McMillan. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, we're adjourned. Now the work session.
Glenn is actually leading.
Glenn's gonna leave this one.
What's that? I'm sorry. I can't see.
In your packet, it says Glenn. I use the old form. So
See on the phone?
Yeah, Glenn, take over.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, no. On my form, it says Glenn Rodden on the discussion item. So.
Oh, okay.
He's free.
I just know.
Okay, Lynn.
We have to pay mileage?
Yeah.
Oh, you went in the.
I guess I missed that.
So, next page.
Yeah, I thought I fixed it. Okay, no, whatever.
Nice.
Just one
Okay, that's why,
How close are we to?
I think we had to watch the same thing before, why we got 2 pages like that.
I was gonna say, it's really close, isn't it? Okay.
May
All right.
1st is
I threw one away.
official.
so-
Yeah, and I knew I fixed one, and somehow again, Mandy, as you can tell, is very valuable. She was gone on Friday for Easter, and this is my handiwork. It's not great. I couldn't even figure out new color. It was terrible.
Don't forget on.
I could, but it was like 40 megabytes. I was like, I don't know. So I put a block in there.
So are we Glenn tonight? or-
Yeah.
Needed me.
Jeez.
I've met him a few times, so I don't really do my impersonation.
Don't forget, as of May 1st, he just informed me, he is the city manager,
Yeah.
not the city administrator.
If he makes it out.
Yeah, exactly. I've been trying to be really nice. Till now. I got 12 days left. and then I
Yeah, he keeps that up, he's out. Okay.
All right.
Katie?
You want me to leave?
Yeah, you better.
Yeah, I'm going by mine.
Just keep Katie handiwork.
I would
Can
decided
you
to bring
get us
this,
back on track? Katie?
Yeah, yeah, because I told him last night.
I decided to bring this back on the work session because there's just so many different thoughts on how to go about this with golf carts. But before we do that, I want to, I guess, give you a little background. And there's a copy of your page in here from the STO, which is our standard traffic ordinance, which is that little book, tiny book that we use for all of our traffic stuff in it for the city. So prior to this golf cart discussion, when we did the ATV, these were still in effect as well as our ATV ordinance. What we did is we had this and then we added some things that were in regard to licensing of ATVs. So my first question, I guess, is do we want to do the same thing for golf carts? Or would you like me to basically redo all of it and make it all into an ordinance? And the reason I say that is because that would then put it into our big code book. Because right now, when people go online, they don't see our standard traffic ordinance. So they won't be able to see all these little regulations that we kind of there, but nobody can see them unless they come up here to the office and research. So that's an option that I can do, is just to completely redo it and make our own rather than bouncing back and forth between two.
As far as the lights, all that stuff.
Right.
Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the STO has, you'll see on there, ATV, it's different for ATVs, micro utility, we don't really use those. So I'm just gonna talk about ATVs and worksite utility vehicles, which are like your Gator. Those are okay at night under the STO, but golf carts are not right now. The way I have the golf courts incorporated in is that they are also required to have lights as well as the ATVs. So the question is, do we want to allow them to be operated at night? If so, we need to put that in here. Or do we want them to just be during the day? Do we want to try to make ATVs and golf carts have the exact same regulations to make it clear? That's an option. I'd have to do some tweaking with this if we did that. So those are some things that I wanted to bring forth, and then obviously the streets and what do we want to allow golf carts and ATVs to ride on and what do we not. So
What would be the simplest, going back to the ATV golf cart? Would it be the simplest to have all the requirements the same for both?
that would be simplest for our officers, yes. I think, obviously that's not really a normal thing on golf carts, so that's probably gonna prevent some conflict, which is fine. There's not all golf carts with lights and flickers and all that on them. But, yes.
Jason, you had this up. Did they go at night?
No, well, because ours was different. We didn't require lights or say, we just had a slow moving sign, a flag, and a number, and it was up till dusk.
And they were just golf carts, right? No ATVs.
And they were just golf carts, and we didn't do any ATVs.
You didn't have ATVs.
They only had golf carts.
Why did you go golf carts?
Because what we were having kind of the opposite problem, we were having kids jump on ATVs and adults, they're just ripping up and down the streets, because we, didn't play, so we just wanted, people wanted to be able to motor around, so we just said, hey, golf carts are slower, it was kind of the logic we had, is to putt around a little bit more, so that's why we chose it at that time, we just wanted to go with golf carts.
Is there any way that you can phrase that so that it's to and from the golf course rather than to and from Casey's to buy a pack of cigarettes or a Coke or, as far as the golf cart, you understand what I'm saying?
Right, and that's another discussion that we need to have. I know Dave was not in favor of having them on Main Street. And we've already got, or I suggested prohibition for 8th Street, so that essentially cuts off any access to the golf course. So, that's a discussion we have to have as well.
Well, they couldn't cross 24 anyway, right?
You can cross, you just can't ride on. You can cross any of these streets, but you just can't ride down them.
Okay.
Would a person have to have a valid driver's license to drive a golf cart?
That, and they must be 18. So you can't have a 16-year-old with a driver's license driving.
Okay, what I was getting at was, could you have, I'm going to just use this as an example, could you have an elderly person who may not be able to get their driver's license, could they still drive a golf cart?
They have to have a valid driver's license. So let's say let's say they've been revoked because of eyesight, or let's say they've been suspended because of DUI. They cannot get on one of these.
Because again, I don't know if last time we put in the packet that Dave has like a check sheet, they gotta show insurance, like all that stuff that he.
Riding lawnmowers, do they count as an alternate vehicle? Because I've heard of
No,
drunks
they
getting
just-
on their riding
Yeah,
lawnmower.
they just count as an unlike, you'll see some scooters around town, those are just not regulated at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the drunk.
So watch out for Matt.
John Deere 300 is back at.
Well, there are people who use their riding lawnmowers as
Treasure.
vehicles, yes.
They do. So I guess safety wise, I think during the day is obviously the safest. We're gonna start there. Right now, we just don't have enough usage that,
I just can't think there would be a need to have
at night, yeah, I
I
don't.
don't see that, and I understand Dave's deal about crossing 24 there at Main Street. There's a wreck there at that Casey's corner, regular like, and then, but yet, how else are they gonna get to the golf course if they can't cross there?
It's at their risk.
That's their risk.
I think you're gonna probably eliminate, just because you're gonna have people out there get all the lights and stuff on their golf carts and have to get insurance. So then at that point, how much does it outweigh just the $150 I think to rent it, or to store it at the golf course?
Then private permit.
Yeah, it's about
Trailer it
150.
out there.
It's about 150 a year to store it out there. I don't think you're gonna have a lot of golfers that are really interested in this.
I think it'll be people who just want to
Yeah,
recreate, drive
that's-
around town.
that's all we had, is people putting
It's
around.
relaxing, kind of a
Yeah.
slow pace.
Yeah.
Because I got neighbors that go up and down the street there now, they just don't go too far around the block.
So I think the question is the streets, then how close do we wanna, is it exactly like everything else, or is there some layers for the golf carts?
The other thing is if they're prohibited on 14, that means they can't cross the bridge to the park, correct?
That's right,
Okay.
legally.
Correct. And actually, the STO, if you look at that, they're actually prohibited on any interstate highway, federal highway, or state highway. So even if we didn't have that, they couldn't have done that anyway. Yeah. So these are really meant to just drive around your neighborhood, and really that's,
Parks are the best places to ride around now.
Yeah.
That I totally understand.
Our park's kind of
I think it makes sense to have it all in one document and also have it so that someone can find it online easily, just because otherwise you may be getting phone calls from people who are confused or anything
Right.
else, so.
Yeah, I tend to agree because, and that's what we've done before with some things, is we'll just take this out, by ordinance, out of this STO, and what Brianne does, this big X through this book, and then put it in a big book, or big code book. Streets, right now I have 8th Street, which people are, maybe you guys know 8th Street. Part of that is 14, so that's obviously out. We've got East 8th, we've got West 8th.
Yeah, about 8th Street from like Independence West.
Right,
as well.
that one I debated on, because that's a pretty wide street, it's not as busy. Same thing with Percy, it's only a highway till you get to 8th, and then it's a city street, so.
So was it just us that said between 16 and 18 you couldn't be doing that, or was it a state statute?
Yeah, that's part of our ordinance for ATVs, yeah.
I was just